All right, so imagine you're a student, or maybe you have a student that attends UMass, and you log in to either your or their account to pay the tuition bill. And there's this like mysterious charge there. It's an $11 fee, and it's labeled as MassPIRG, P-I-R-G. You didn't sign up for this. You didn't consciously choose this, yet it's automatically deducting money from your account unless you actively hunt through layers of menus to opt out. You're automatically opted in. And by the way, that money doesn't fund a typical student club, but what it does fund is what seems to be a left-wing political machine. So today, I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit on this organization that officially claims to be nonpartisan and student-led. But really, under my watch and after the research I've done, it appears to be neither. Honestly, calling this organization nonpartisan is like calling your tuition bill affordable, right? That's like a nice idea, but absolutely nobody is buying it. So let's start it like this. MassPIRG is short for Massachusetts Public Interest Research Group, and it was founded in 1974, and it grew from a campus-based model envisioned by Ralph Nader, who is famously progressive, a progressive activist and former third-party presidential candidate. Their roots are laid out clearly in Nader's book from 1971. That book is called Action for a Change. You could look it up. And this is like some kind of Bible or a manuscript for progressive activism on campuses nationwide. That is realistically what this is. I mean, even from the beginning, Nader described PIRG explicitly as a grassroots lobbying group for progressive legislation, not neutral advocates for student interests. So how do these ideas keep getting pushed with absolutely no scrutiny here? I mean, really, it's crazy to me. So let's start with this is how it goes, okay? MassPIRG billed itself as fiercely independent, okay? They claimed that they work broadly on student issues like consumer rights and environmental protection. Their website lists some of their, you could go to the website and check this out too. It lists some of their achievements. There's the 1981 bottle bill. There's the 1989 Toxic Reduction Act, which I think are generally positive initiatives. But more recently, they proudly supported legislation such as the expansion of bottle deposits. I also think that's okay. I think a statewide ban on single-use plastics is fine, right? But now what's happening is they have supported aggressive renewable energy mandates, which are all led exclusively by, guess who? Democratic sponsors. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with advocacy, but here's where things get problematic, at least in my opinion. So while MassPIRG, I think you could say they loudly proclaim its nonpartisan status, the reality of its leadership, its financial networks, and even their lobbying efforts, I think that tells a completely different story. So the organization itself, they sit within a vast web of other organizations called PIN, or Public Interest Networks, which is led, or I believe used to be led, by somebody of the name, his name's Douglas Phelps, and he is a longtime Democratic operative that's deeply embedded in national progressive politics. He co-founded something called the Colorado Democracy Alliance, which is a key progressive funding network and oversees more than 100 affiliated groups funneling millions of dollars amongst each other. For one example, I'll give you an example, okay? MassPIRG transferred over $2.5 million to Environment Massachusetts, which is a sister organization that is a statewide nonprofit advocacy group that promotes progressive environmental policies and legislation throughout the Commonwealth. Now, beyond environmental and consumer causes, they've explicitly opposed the Supreme Court's Citizen United decision. They pushed for ranked choice voting initiatives and campaigned aggressively for voter mobilization efforts that a lot of people, and you could look this up, say heavily favor Democratic voters. And this is the way that it goes. This is while MassPIRG claims that voter registration is nonpartisan. I think that would be okay, but all of the issues that you're trying to solve or to push on to students or to the parents of students are completely left-leaning. And it's coalition partners. They have a couple. One was Common Cause Massachusetts and the League of Women Voters. And both of those also consistently are left-leaning platforms, which I think further cement the perception of partisanship. That's my opinion. Now let's talk about how the cash gets collected. So this is the way that it goes. So they have these campus chapters at UMass Amherst, Lowell, and Boston. They may even be in other places too, okay? And what they do is they charge students between $11 to $18 as a per semester fee unless the student or the parent opt out each and every semester. Now, in practice, this means that the mass majority of students, I mean, look, people just pay the bills, right? They're not looking at line items, right? They're unknowingly funding these progressive policies, right? And for instance, at UMass Lowell, back in 2018, there were 11,000 students that were billed. Guess what? Fewer than 300 waived the fee. That ended up netting this organization around $141,000 from a single campus in 1 year. Furthermore, in classrooms across UMass Lowell, there has been students, and I've read these reports, that basically what they're doing is they have representatives that come to the classes regularly, and they called it invading their classes. I'm not using that term. And they end up making what are supposed to be like these quick announcements into drawn out pitches for membership, for fundraising, and of course, their progressive policy agenda. And you know, as students, parents, taxpayers, concerned citizens, whatever you want to call it, you name it, right? I think that we deserve better than that, right? Like there shouldn't be these hidden fees or these like shadowy political agendas woven into the educational system or educational institutions. It should not be happening. And I think now more than ever, I think it's crucial that students take back control of their tuition dollars, but more importantly, their voices, or even parents for that matter, right? And change doesn't start with like this quiet acceptance. And that's probably what a lot of people are doing. They're probably just paying it. They don't even realize what the hell it is. But the fact is, I think that there should be an opt-in decision, not an opt-out decision. And these universities, they really need to be held accountable. They're like off the chain, right? You have a network of students and universities that are basically secretly billing their students or the parents or whatever the way it is. And the fact is, if somebody wants to donate to an advocacy group, that should be their decision. It shouldn't be baked into a payment schedule for tuition, unless it was explicitly going to things that promote, like, let's say, cheaper books or some kind of initiative at the school or something like that, right? That would be a completely different story. But when you're pushing these progressive or left-leaning ideologies on students, I've seen this time and time and again, okay? I've seen it so many times, and it's really unfortunate, right? These schools, I mean, I understand these schools have to set up students for like real world knowledge and, you know, really what happens, okay? But the fact is, they're only pushing one side Okay? If they want to push one side, then at the very least, what they should do is have the other side should have an opportunity to do the same thing. But it just seems to me like a lot of these universities are completely beholden to the left-leaning groups or the left in general. I don't know exactly why that is. I do not know why that is happening, but I find it to be very problematic. And this is happening not only in Massachusetts, it's happening throughout the country. And again, people should be able to dictate, students and parents should be able to dictate where their money goes, okay? They shouldn't have to opt out of something. They should have to opt into something, not opt out. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for sharing this with me. So this was from this actually came from a subscriber. They sent me some information on this based on, I don't know if they're a student or a parent or whatever it is, but yeah, I did a deep dive into this and I found it pretty interesting, but also unnerving at the same time. So that's it for today's video, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.